Tonight, the Brits' best male, Finley Quaye. Ireland's avenging angel, Sinead O'Connor. And lightning striker, Broudie. Also live and in full effect, anthemic ballad breakers, Embrace. And the future sound of house, 16B. Hiya, I'm Whiley. Welcome to the show. You know the score by now. We take a few prize specimens, we slam them on the slab and give them a good going over. This show takes no casualties, and my three musicologists tonight are Finley Quaye, hello.
Irie.
Sinead O'Connor. And Broudie.
Hiya.
So tonight we'll be previewing Kurt and Courtney, the film Miss Love tried to ban. Radical Rockers Asian Dub Foundation will be registering somewhere between east and west on the compass, and the Bubblegum Gang Aqua are back. But first, the news.
Surf's up and the kids are heading off to sunnier climes. Destination numero uno, Ibiza. And what better way to fill your 2 weeks than with a heady combination of party, party, party. The main thrust of their attention, Manumission. The hedonistic club will also screen Manumission the movie on August the 1st, billed as the first film to capture club culture, achieved with a cast of vampires, dwarfs, drag queens and lesbians. Enjoy! More gratuitous porn with the release of Pornographic Messiah, the new album by seminal American weirdos Christian Death. The band were recently forced into hiding in Europe to escape legal proceedings issued by Jehovah's Witnesses, and the album has already gained a pre-release ban in the States.
We shall baptize you into the ways of sin.
But despite the tragic suicide of former singer Ros Williams, an attempted copycat suicide by their androgynous bisexual drummer Steve, and guitarist Flick Fuck, currently jailed without bail, the band continue. The 5-year-old replacement seems to be filling in the gaps admirably. Oh, Hanson, watch out! First there was Train Spotting, and now Irving Welsh's The Acid House has been committed to celluloid. Recently screened at Cannes amid much media hoopla, the film isn't due out in UK cinemas until the end of the year, but we have exclusive clips.
I really like you, Kirsty.
Aye. I really like you enough.
I'm not really good at talking like this, but you came what I mean, didn't you? Eh? Eh?
Aye. I love you too. I love you too. I love you too.
Trippy. No, you weren't on acid. Futuristic cyberpunksters Zig Zig Sputnik really did exist. The band who enjoyed fleeting success back in the 80s are back. But despite their past criminal records, the band are set to play before an audience of lawyers and magistrates at the Inns of Court. Judgment Day indeed. And if that isn't enough, the original band members are currently in the studio recording a new album. The proposed title, History Will Prove Us Right. Wrong again then. Another rocker lost in space, the iconic Iggy Pop, has also turned his mind to something new. A man who spent much of his life out of his mind now tries outer space. He recently starred in an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which is now available on video. Iggy appears as a devious, genetically altered alien.
Your people have a reputation for cunning.
It's the best he's looked in ages.
And hardly any makeup needed. Finley, Iggy's looking better than ever there, but a bit tame, really, for the first man of punk.
Well, it's good to see people carrying on with the works, man. Zig Zig Sputnik as well, you know what I mean? They should be making another album.
What about Iggy Pop, though, being in that Star Trek kind of spin-off? You've worked with him, haven't you?
Yeah, I met him in the studio, in the working environment.
Tell us what happened.
Eating pizza. And I was there with, Tricky, Adrian, over in New York.
Are you friends with Adrian now? You brought him up?
I wouldn't say so at all.
Really?
No, man.
Does it sadden you? Because you've obviously fallen out.
Yeah, it's a real shame. It's a real shame. When you got, you know what I mean, that amount of talent and power that you don't use it, you know what I mean?
Can I ask you what actually happened? It's kind of
What actually
feels like a
happened?
mystery, yeah.
Put calls through to Tricky and get him to get back to you, and he don't get back to you, you know what I mean? That's it. So there ain't no talking or communication involved, so there ain't no reasoning, you know what I mean?
But it kind of came out in the press that he was
No
dissing
reasoning.
you.
Nah, that's rubbish, man.
Right.
That's rubbish too. That's NME and all them people there. But still, Tricky could talk. All it takes is a phone call. You know what I mean? All it takes is a phone call, and he's always got my number.
If we just go back to Iggy, he wasn't particularly a fan of hippies and, you know, being the ultimate.
I used to love Iggy Pop, you know, the Stooges stuff and all that when I was a kid and that, you know. And I really liked all the stuff Bowie did with him as well. It's fun. I mean, sort of resurfaced because of Train Spotting, hasn't it? But
It's a shame that something about what you're saying about that it takes Train Spotting to get that kind of thing open.
That, yeah.
But it's also a great thing that Irvin's got. Bringing, you know, things that really do go on and tunes that people really do love and get inspired by into a film. That's a great thing, instead of making films like Star Trek.
You were actually brought up in Scotland, Finley.
Yeah.
Was that in Edinburgh? Was that an accurate portrayal?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Definitely. I still got my place up in Edinburgh. So, I mean, it's common for people up there to really want to live out on a wild, you know, on a drugged-out life. You find people taking heroin for 30 years up there and that, you know what I mean?
OK. Sinead, Zig Zig Sputnik are about to make a comeback. Does that interest you at all?
The 80s was just... it was hell on earth, musically, I think. I hated them the first time round. I'm sure they're very nice people, but I hated all the music of the 80s.
Ian, you were making music in the 80s, weren't you?
I was producing records, but the ones I made were good, I think. But they weren't hits, like.
The World Cup kicks off today, and Three Lines wasn't chosen for the official World Cup song. Did that kind of annoy you? Or?
It was funny because it wasn't really... The official tournament one for Euro 96 was Simply Red, and it was quite good fun being the unofficial one, but the one everyone sung and all that. So I think it frees you a little bit to be the unofficial one.
What do you think of England United? Should Ian McCulloch be given a red card?
It's one of those things, you know, everyone always wants you to slag all the others off, slag Vindaloo off, slag this off, slag the other off. You know, I think, you know, I don't mind the Spice Girls, don't mind Ian McCulloch, and I think that's the thing about, I think when you're in a band or when you make music, I don't think you really feel like there has to be you and no other records anywhere. When there's a load of people singing a song of yours, you feel great, you know, and you'd obviously feel better when they're singing your song than anyone else's. But, I mean, for me, a little bit, like, I'd be really pleased if England can play well in the World Cup, and that becomes a bit of a backdrop to a good time where, you know, like, everything's feeling good, then that'd be great. You know?
And Finley, your sport obviously doesn't lay with England.
Not a chance.
You played at Madstock over the last weekend, and got quite a bit of hassle and didn't particularly enjoy
There was
the
a lot
experience.
of football fans there, England fans, singing the England songs. I think maybe even your song was sung.
Right.
Right? Whilst I'm singing my song, they were singing it from the audience. Now, you know, I asked them to stop it, man, because, you know, I'm Scottish.
Yeah.
OK, enough football. We'll move on. Kurt Cobain's death shattered the grunge generation and marked the end of an era. Nick Broomfield's highly controversial documentary delves into the circumstances behind Kurt's suicide. Courtney refused to cooperate, ordered co-funders to pull out and banned it from this year's Sundance Film Festival. Somehow, Kurt and Courtney made it through the red tape, and it hits the art house circuit on 3rd of July. Here's a taster.
Not paying attention.
Yeah, just imagine having that as parental guidance, let alone a role model. Sinead, what do you think of Courtney Love after seeing a father like that?
Well, I'm not surprised that she was involved with taking drugs and trying to numb the pain of having to deal with a father like him. But I think the guy making the documentary obviously has a problem with his mother, you know. He seems to make documentaries about women who he wants to, in some way, you know, find out something about. Maybe
because he did the Heidi Fleiss and he wanted to do Princess Diana.
Yeah, you know.
He very much wants to be a star, doesn't he?
Yeah,
what
a rat. I mean, I think he needs therapy to deal with his mother.
OK, we'll send him. Courtney's undergone this huge makeover, transforming herself from this, like, grunge queen to a vamp now, Hollywood vamp. Do you think she's sincere?
Well, you know, again, there's a witch hunt going on here, I think, you know, that people like to do this to women and always have for centuries. What woman would not go through a makeover after the suicide of her husband? And we've all been assholes on occasions, you know what I mean? We've all done things that are wrong, like, but I think what she needs is compassion, which is all that all of us are entitled to, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not saying she's an angel. I don't know her well enough to know whether she's God or the devil, do you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
And also, I'm not surprised having a father like that. I mean, it strikes me looking at him how like him she is, you know, when she's being very angry. She's obviously been brought up with a lot of violence, you know what I mean, and she is very like him actually when she's being angry.
There is an episode in the film where he's saying that he controls her with pit bull terriers because he sees himself as a pit bull terrier, and you can just look at it and you think, oh.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, if you've been brought up with that kind of violence, you need to work very hard on yourself to learn how to handle ordinary life, basically, and how to handle your anger and all those kind of things, you know what I mean? So maybe she needs to do that. I think when we're fascinated with someone, as this guy obviously is with her, it's because we see ourselves in them, you know. So I think he obviously identifies with her a lot, and I think that's why she sparks so much, because she does, you know, people identify with her a lot. So, do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, these are just two ordinary people who shit and piss like the rest of us, do you know what I mean? And we can project a whole lot of rubbish onto that.
Because you know, for me, like, I think Kurt Cobain, like, I love
yeah, I love
what
his
he
music,
did.
yeah.
I thought he was...
Yeah.
And it's funny, because I think most American things, there's very few, like loads of America. You were talking about the 80s earlier, you know, and you see all these films with Michael J. Fox in, and people with stripy day-glow socks on, and this sort of stuff. And he sort of single-handedly, like, seemed to bring all these American kids from completely off the case.
The artists themselves do also, because those that go through such an upbringing have to create a false self in order to survive it, so a fantasy self. So that's how they attract it in the first place.
Courtney seems to be enjoying, though, the whole being this Hollywood glamour puss at the moment. So there must be some element. Are you eating your toenails? That's disgusting.
You said relax.
God, it's OK picking them, but not eating them.
I mean, she is having a real effect, isn't she? Like, she's
to have an effect. I think she's got a desire not to be rich and not to be somebody, but to have an effect, and she's, you know,
to live.
She uses everything she can, and maybe her father's traits and all them things, to try to get someone to do what she wants them to do, or to understand what she wants them to understand.
Ian, what do you think of Kurt Cobain?
I would say that Kurt seemed to me like a bloke who was driven to write. You know, I think he was driven to write, and the stuff that he did, you know, I think there's all these American bands that are kind of wandering around now, wondering what they should do. You know, but I think Courtney, you know, I mean, like I say, I don't know her. I met her a long time ago, and, you know, probably didn't speak that much to her.
Yeah.
But, you know, my impression is that she's got, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, a drive and ambition in a way. And I think
she's incredibly
she's
talented. You know, and if you're that talented, you should be that ambitious. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, like that record, "Live Through This," is a phenomenal record. You know, she inspires a lot of jealousy in people. You know, because she is very talented.
Yeah.
You know.
On the that film, you can see there are certain points where they try and catch her out, like she's at some, you know, charity thing or an award ceremony, and they'll go up and kind of, you know, throw a question at her. You can see her eyes flashing, and she's so incredibly, like, quick thinking, and you can see the ambition and the drive there. She's just like, I'm not going to be caught out, I'm going to deal with this.
Well,
and
like,
she does it
that's
so
the thing,
successfully.
It's okay. Is it okay for a woman to be that ambitious? Do you know what I mean? It's okay for a man to be that ambitious. So why isn't it okay for a woman to be?
That's fine.
I reckon Courtney's got a big mouth, you know, and I reckon Courtney's really, you know, got on the nerves of a few people. And people are doing things in the media. Some opportunist guy has got the idea together and reckons, yeah, I can make a good whack with this.
Because they wouldn't dare do it to a guy, because a guy would come around and flatten him.
Yeah.
OK, we'll move on. Time to turn up the volume. This mouthy outfit burst onto the scene last year with a cluster of classic EPs taken from their just-released debut album, The Good Will Out. This is Embrace and Come Back to What You Know. Hugest songs and the tenderest of souls. That's Embrace and Come Back to What You Know. OK, join us in a couple of minutes when we'll be poring over Aqua and Asian Dub Foundation. We'll also be listening to P-Funk legend George Clinton, giving us the tune he turns on to relax to. Move and there'll be trouble.
I always wanted to write something like that myself, and which was just the opposite of our group.
Hi, welcome back to the show with me, Jo Whiley, and my three smooth operators, Finley, Quaye, Sinead O'Connor and Ian Broudie. So next, Aqua. They're the sugar-coated sound of Danish pop, always a favourite down the school disco, apparently. Taken from their 10 million unit-shifting album, Aquarium, this is Aqua, setting sail and on course to another chart-busting hit, My Oh My. Which one's your favourite? Ian, that was Aqua. Now, kids absolutely love them, right? OK, they are absolutely massive. They are a phenomenon. Do you think there's anything in there for adults as well?
I could imagine kids really liking that. I mean, there's always things around that kids like, and it's a bit.
Do you get
like,
it played around at your house?
I don't know if Riley likes it, actually, Aqua. I don't know if he's mad for Aqua, but...
It's been trained well.
Well, he's probably mad for something equally as weird, but when you look at groups now in the charts, there's a lot of people who went to acting school, or, you know, these schools that you go to when you're a kid, in groups, and it's almost like some of them look like actors playing pop stars.
I was feeling the same things, you know. I was thinking, when I sing from the chest, and I sing from, you know, my torso. And that woman looks like she sings by using her cheeks and her eyebrows and things, you know? So, yeah, that's the vibe. She's acting, all right, you know? Yeah. The content of these songs blows my mind, and content of the videos actually, you know, it storms me.
In what way?
I think every video I've seen has involved something or other that I would like to actually get interested in, like the pirates scene, you know? But actually see what the real history of the pirates is, or the history of African tribes people and things. And these people, Aqua, seem to make videos of things that should be exposed the right way and make a whole heap of mockery out of it.
Sinead, did you take offence to any of that video? The whipping scene, perhaps, or...?
No, just the fact that it was made and that it exists, yeah.
The Aqua exists.
Yeah. My boy really hates it.
Does he?
Yeah, especially the Barbie song, obviously, so...
But the scene with, like, the way Lainey plays it all and, like, being whipped and stuff, do you think that's kind of a fairly bad role model for little girls?
No, I think it's probably a good one in a lot of ways, since, you know, little and big girls have certain, you know, fantasies. And, you know, that's OK. There's nothing wrong with that. It's harmless, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it's yuck. It's very creamy, you know, the whole thing, the dress and everything.
I think that's formula music, you know, that pop music's the opposite of that. Pop music's having a canvas that you can throw anything at, break all the rules, try something different, you know, to me, like, you know, there's Led Zeppelin songs that are pop, there's Bob Marley songs that are definitely, but, you know, there's all sorts of things that are pop, and I think it's just, you know, I think a lot of the definitions are really just so people can find things in record shops, and sometimes they get in the way of everything, you know.
Are you sure you're not being just snobbish about Aqua? Because they're getting recognised, they're selling loads of records now, far more than ABBA did at the beginning of their career. Everyone laughed at ABBA when they started out with Waterloo.
When you go to write something, don't you, I mean, like, for me, well, I think for most people, you try and write something a little bit from the heart, or without getting poncy or anything. You try and write something that means a little bit to someone, there's a bit of emotion. But you know, I don't really know what that was about, and I think that's the thing about those records, they're not really about anything. Aqua
are very much part of the whole machine of pop, and you've probably all been through, I don't know about Sinead, but you've all been through the smash hits kind of thing, having your photograph taken, being asked the stupid questions. I mean, Finley, you're kind of a pin-up in smash hits.
What?
I bet you've had your photograph in smash hits, you must have, and your song words written out there.
What?
I bet you have.
Really? I don't buy it.
You're being naive now.
I don't buy it. I've played Top of the Pops maybe 3 times, and smash hits grab me there, and that's it. I never see them.
Irish pop's doing extremely well at the moment. You've got Bewitched that's still at #1, and The Cause, who I saw at the Flower.
Yeah.
And you can just see they're going to be this like huge phenomenon at the moment. Does that kind of fill your heart with joy, particularly with the Bewitched?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, for lots of reasons, but one of them, I was thinking it's quite good to see Irish girls. I know they're kind of more dressed than some girl bands are, but I quite like the whole idea of Irish girls being, you know, more sexually expressive, you know, in
just
their
being
music,
sexy,
or how they look, being sexy, yeah, being allowed to be sexy, you know.
And why has it taken so long to happen, do you reckon?
Because of the Roman Catholic Church.
Ireland's always been sexy.
Yeah, I know, but we didn't know we were, you see. We didn't, and we weren't allowed to be, and we thought we had to not be to be good people, you see, or we wouldn't go to heaven.
Did you?
I mean, I like the way the Irish girls don't take it too far, you know. I think you should have a certain amount of clothes on. You know what I mean?
Right, certain modesty.
So, yeah. I mean, until you're in the bedroom, and then go for it, you know.
OK, we'll move on. Next up on the video jukebox, our Asian Dub Foundation, a 5-piece East End sound system whose agenda is to agitate and educate. This is the confident, proud sound of young Asian Britain, Asian Dub Foundation. Finley, do they work for you?
Well, I've listened to them for a while now. I've got a couple of their records in the house. They're a good band, man, and it's a good thing that's going on. you know.
What do you think of the likes of Kula Shaker, who suddenly have a blend of Indian music in their songs when they bring them out?
They're really funny. I don't think that they bring the Indian spirit from Shiva or Hinduism.
Crispy Mills probably think he did.
I don't think so. I think that they call themselves, I've said this before anyway, but I think that they're supposed to be called Colour Shaker, and that the Indian guy that said Colour Shaker meant colour shaker and a shaker of colours, you know, and that's eclecticism, you know. And that's what the spirit was about, and I reckon they even named themselves wrong.
They just misheard.
You know what I mean?
Sinead, what did you make of Asian Dub Foundation?
I really like them. Yeah, I mean, I'm really into Jamaican music, obviously, so it stems obviously from that. You know what I mean? It's you know, I like Broudie Banton and people like that, Sizzler and people like that. So
passionate though, there's a huge passion there.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. I like the whole feel. That's why I like the whole dancehall thing, you know, because it's quite, you know, pumped.
Ian, are they as subtle as something like the Specials?
No, not really. No, I mean. Well, I suppose the Specials was built on doing ska, which had gone on before as well, like, so that whole thing goes through a lot of music, and hopefully you try and do things, you're probably doing a lot of stuff people have done before, but you do it in your own way, you know. They sound all right to me.
It's got gusto.
Gusto, that's the word I was looking for, yeah. Finley, what do you make of the pop press making these huge hypes about stuff like ska and these various revivals?
You know, and it's just one thing, it's like reggae again, it's just one thing. I'm sick to death of hearing people describing things as reggae, or not being reggae enough. Reggae just means regular. The music was given the code name reggae because it was so regular that you could move to it, you know? It's a living music.
OK. Coming up in a few minutes, taking house to another dimension, 16B. But first, the court jester of funk, George Clinton, tells us about the one record that he most likes to chill out to.
The song that I get into when I want to chill out is...
Just perfect. Finley, the night before was just this blunted, hazy reality. What song do you put on to relax to?
My ultimate relaxation CD, I think it's going to be Eric Satie and his piano works and those kind of things, you know?
Classical music.
I don't really stick with the titles, but Eric Satie, piano music. Yeah, or some Pink Floyd.
We'll stick with the Satie music. No, stop now.
Pink
Sinead,
Floyd's scary.
Sinead, you're a bit stressed. What do you put on to ease attention?
Bob Marley. I like all his records, but there's an album called Rebel Music that's got loads of great stuff on it, so I like that. There's a song called Roots, especially, that I like.
And it just makes all the tension flow away.
Yeah.
OK, and Ian?
There's a track called If You Want Me to Stay by Sly Stone, and I love that track more than I just love that track, and I get really boring because I just have it on again and again and again and again on the repeat thing on the CD. You know, I can wear anyone out, I think, you know, but I could just listen to that for hours.
It does the job.
I love it.
OK. Time's up, I'm sad to say. Just a few seconds left to say a huge thank you to my three mates for the evening, to Finley, Sinead and Ian. Thank you very much. I'll be back next week for the last show in the present series, which promises to be extra special. Till then, step into the future with 16B. This is Water Ride.